The lights inside the AGT Champions theater glow softly, washing the stage in a calm, almost gentle atmosphere as the audience settles into their seats. There is a quiet buzz in the air, the kind that comes before something important, yet no one senses that history is about to be made. When the announcer's voice echoes through the hall and calls out the next performer, Marcelito Pomoy, the reaction is respectful but restrained. A few claps ripple through the crowd, polite and curious rather than excited. This is a stage filled with champions, and expectations are heavy. Marcelito walks out slowly, his steps measured, his posture humble. He wears a simple, well-fitted suit with no flashy details, no attempt to stand out visually. His face carries a calm seriousness, but behind his eyes is a lifetime of stories waiting to be heard. He pauses at center stage, taking in the massive theater, the bright lights, and the sea of faces watching him. For a brief second, he closes his eyes, steadying his breath, as if reminding himself why he is here. At the judges' table, Cowell leans back in his chair, arms folded across his chest. He has seen thousands upon thousands of singers over the years, good ones, great ones, and a few truly unforgettable ones. This is AGT Champions, a place where talent is supposed to be extraordinary by default. Simon's expression is neutral, professional, unreadable. Heidi Klum smiles encouragingly, while Sofia Vergara watches with interest, tilting her head slightly. They are open, but cautious. Marcelito introduces himself in a soft, respectful voice. His accent is noticeable, but his English is clear. He thanks the judges for the opportunity, his words simple and sincere. There is no arrogance, no grand speech about destiny or winning. He speaks briefly about where he comes from, about how music has been part of his life since he was young. He does not dramatize his struggles, but the weight of them is felt in the way he speaks, carefully, thoughtfully, as if every word carries meaning. As he finishes speaking, there is a short pause, the kind of pause that feels longer than it really is. Simon nods once, signaling for the music to begin. The orchestra starts gently, the opening notes of a familiar song drifting across the room. The audience relaxes slightly, settling into their seats. This feels like the beginning of a strong emotional performance, impressive perhaps but still within the boundaries of what they expect from a champion singer. Marcelito raises the microphone, closes his eyes again, and begins to sing. His first note is deep, warm and controlled. A rich baritone fills the theater, steady and confident. The sound carries effortlessly, wrapping around the audience like a slow-moving wave. Heads nod in appreciation. This is good, very good. There is emotion in his voice, experience, discipline. It is the voice of someone who has sung, not just on stages, but in moments of hardship and hope. The audience responds with light applause as he moves through the opening lines. The judges exchange glances. Heidi's eyebrows lift slightly in approval. Sophia smiles. Even Simon leans forward just a bit, his interest clearly growing. This is not a forgettable performance. Marcelito has already proven that he belongs here. Yet there is still a sense of familiarity. A feeling that, while impressive, this performance fits neatly into a category Simon knows well. A strong male vocalist with emotional depth. Solid. Professional. But champions are expected to bring something more. As the music continues, Marcelito reaches the end of a phrase and takes a measured breath. The orchestra swells, hinting at a transition. The atmosphere in the theater subtly shifts. Something in his posture changes, his shoulders relax, his grip on the microphone softens, and his expression transforms, as if he is preparing to step into another role entirely. Then it happens. From the same mouth, a second voice emerges, higher, lighter, and shockingly pure. It cuts through the air with clarity and grace, sounding almost unreal. Gasps ripple through the audience. People sit up straight, eyes widening, hands instinctively moving to cover their mouths. This is not backing track. This is not an illusion. Simon Cowell's reaction is immediate. He leans forward sharply, his eyes locked on Marcelito, disbelief written clearly across his face. His arms uncross, his posture changes. This is no longer casual interest. This is surprise. In that instant, the rules everyone thought they understood begin to collapse. One singer, two voices, and the performance has only just begun. The moment the higher voice fills the theater, the entire energy of the room shifts. What was once polite appreciation transforms into stunned disbelief. Marcelito stands perfectly still at center stage, yet it feels as though two performers have suddenly appeared, where there was only one. The higher register floats effortlessly above the music, clear and emotional, carrying a softness that contrasts beautifully with the depth of his earlier notes. It doesn't sound forced or imitated, it sounds real. As the melody continues, Marcelito begins to move between the two voices with astonishing control. One line flows out in a rich masculine tone, grounded and powerful. The next rises seamlessly into a soaring feminine vocal that feels almost otherworldly. There is no visible struggle on his face, no tightening of the jaw or strain in his neck. His breathing remains calm, precise, as if his body has learned this balance through years of discipline and quiet practice. The audience can't look away. People lean forward in their seats, eyes fixed on the stage, afraid that blinking might cause the illusion to break. Whispers spread from row to row, disbelief, excitement, confusion. Some shake their heads slowly, smiling in awe. Others sit frozen, trying to process what their ears are hearing. Phones that were once tucked away are now raised carefully, capturing a moment no one wants to forget. At the judges' table, reactions deepen. Heidi Klum's eyes glisten under the stage lights, her mouth slightly open as she watches the performance unfold. Sofia Vergara presses her hands together near her face, repeating a quiet, "Oh my God," as if saying it enough times might make the moment make sense. But Simon Cowell remains the most striking sight of all. His usual guarded demeanor is gone. His eyes follow Marcelito's every move, his expression serious, intense, almost childlike in its fascination. Marcelito doesn't just switch voices, he becomes them. When the higher voice sings, his facial expression softens, his movements grow gentler, and an undeniable vulnerability fills the room. There is emotion in every note, a tenderness that reaches straight into the hearts of those listening. When the lower voice returns, his stance changes again. His chest lifts slightly, his tone grounded and commanding, bringing strength and stability to the performance. It feels like a duet between two souls who know each other intimately. The orchestra swells with the rai. Sing emotion, and the song builds toward its most demanding section. The notes climb higher, the transitions come faster, and the risk becomes obvious. One mistake here could shatter the illusion, exposing the performance as a trick. But Marcelito never falters. Each shift is smooth, deliberate, and breathtakingly precise. Tears begin to appear in the audience. A woman in the front row wipes her eyes, nodding along to the music. A man several rows back clasps his hands together, shaking his head in disbelief. Soft applause breaks out in the middle of the song, growing stronger as people struggle to contain their emotions. This isn't just admiration for technical skill. It's a response to something deeply human, something rare and honest. Simon leans even closer now, his elbows resting on the desk, his eyes narrowed not in judgment, but in concentration. He has spent his career defining what works and what doesn't in music. Yet here he is, watching someone bend those definitions in real time. This performance doesn't fit neatly into any category. It isn't just a vocal trick, and it isn't just a song. It's storytelling through sound, using contrast and harmony in a way that feels entirely new. As the final section approaches, the music pulls back slightly, leaving space for Marcelito's voice to shine. He moves between registers one last time, allowing both voices to exist side by side within the same musical phrase. The effect is haunting. The theater grows eerily quiet, as if the audience collectively holds its breath, unwilling to disturb the fragile magic hanging in the air. Then Marcelito reaches the final note. He holds it steady, letting it resonate, pure and unwavering. When the sound finally fades, there is a brief moment of absolute silence, a stunned pause where no one knows what to do next. And then the eruption begins, for a split second after the final note fades. The theater exists in complete silence. It is the kind of silence that feels heavy, electric, almost sacred. No one claps, no one speaks. Every person in the room seems frozen, suspended in the aftermath of what they have just witnessed. Marcelito stands at center stage, his chest rising and falling as he exhales slowly. his eyes still closed as if he too is trying to absorb the moment. Then the spell breaks. Applause crashes through the theater like thunder. The audience leaps to their feet almost in unison, cheering, clapping, shouting his name. The sound is overwhelming, rolling from the front rows to the very back of the hall. Some people wipe tears from their faces while applauding. Others laugh in disbelief, shaking their heads as if the performance has rewritten something they thought they understood about music. The standing ovation feels endless, growing louder with every passing second. Marcelito opens his eyes, clearly overwhelmed. His hands tremble slightly as he lowers the microphone. He looks out at the audience, his gaze sweeping across the sea of people on their feet, and for a brief moment his composure cracks. His eyes glisten. He bows his head, pressing his lips together as he struggles to hold back tears. This reaction isn't practiced or polished. It is raw gratitude, pure and honest. At the judges' table, all 4 judges are standing. Heidi Klum applauds enthusiastically, her face lit up with emotion. Sofia Vergara claps and laughs at the same time, pointing toward Marcelito as if trying to tell the audience, "Did you hear that?" But the biggest reaction comes from Simon Cowell. He stands slowly, deliberately, his applause measured but sincere. The audience notices instantly. When Simon stands, it means something. The cheers grow even louder. As the applause finally begins to settle, Simon reaches for his microphone. He pauses, letting the room quiet down, choosing his words carefully. This is rare for him. He looks directly at Marcelito, his expression serious, almost reflective. "I've been doing this a very long time," Simon begins. "I've heard just about every kind of singer you can imagine. But I've honestly never heard anything like that." The audience erupts again, but Simon raises his hand gently, asking for a moment more. "What you just did," he continues, "shouldn't work. By every rule we know in music, it shouldn't be possible. And yet, it was extraordinary." Marcelito listens intently, nodding, his eyes fixed on Simon, his face a mixture of disbelief and gratitude. "You didn't just sing a song," Simon says. "You told a story, you surprised us, you took a risk. And performances like that are exactly why this show exists." The crowd cheers once more, louder than before. Heidi speaks next, her voice emotional as she praises not only Marcelito's talent but his heart. She talks about how the performance made her feel, how rare it is to witness something truly new on a stage like this. Sofia follows, still shaking her head, calling the performance unbelievable, and admitting that she got chills the moment the second voice appeared. Marcelito finally speaks, his voice soft, slightly trembling. He thanks the judges, the audience, and the show for giving him the chance to share his gift. He mentions his family, his journey, and how music helped him survive the hardest moments of his life. His words are simple, but they land with weight. This is not a man chasing applause. This is a man honoring the path that brought him here. As the camera pulls back, the applause continues to echo through the theater. Marcelito stands alone on the stage, small against the massive backdrop, yet somehow larger than the moment itself. Years of struggle, rejection, and quiet perseverance have led to T. His single point in time. A moment when the world finally sees him not just as a singer, but as something rare. In the crowd, people exchange looks of shared amazement. They know they have witnessed something special, the kind of performance that will be replayed, talked about, remembered long after the season ends. This is the reason people believe in talent shows. This is why they tune in hoping to be surprised. As Marcelito walks off the stage, the cheers follow him, refusing to fade. He entered as a competitor. He leaves as a standout, a reminder that sometimes, the most powerful moments come from those who dare to break every rule and trust their voice, no matter how impossible it seems. And in that moment, one thing becomes clear. AGT Champions will never forget the name Marcelito Pomoy.